Well, I'll give you an indication of how long the connection has been. Like my grandmother had number 5 co-op share, so she's long gone now. And my dad is 82, so obviously he bought a share in the co-op too. And it's been around well over 70 years when, one of the locals, Jack Plimmer, sort of formed a committee and purchased the store. So it's been part of my father, my grandmother, my father and myself. It's been part of our lives, really, just knowing that it was there. It's like, we're going down to the co-op. So it's sad and it's the end of an era, but I guess life does move on and we do evolve. So
you were, you mentioned that connection there, but you were actually chair of the co-op from 2013 until late last year. Can I ask, because obviously these things don't happen overnight, even in this time of coronavirus, which has just changed everything so quickly. But at what point in time did you see trading volumes begin to change and begin to decline?
Yeah, sure. Fair question. We did some extensive reviews back in 2011 and then I think again, and we did them every year, but we did notice a decline continually from 2011. Now, a few things happened at the time. We did an extension on the store and that disrupted people's habits. And we do know that it only takes, I think, 2 weeks to change people's habits. So that was a bit of a difficult hurdle to overcome. And then I think over time, we have people that pass away. The older generation were stalwarts of the co-op and wouldn't go anywhere else. And, they've passed on. It's a very transient town. We have people coming in and let's think about it. We're dealing with a very well-oiled national machine in a Coles entity, and they have the funds behind them to advertise, to monopolise the advertising space we see on television and papers. And so to answer your question in a short form, we've noticed it for some time, and we've tried many things to increase the foot traffic through the door over that time, but it's evolution. We've been in a retail recession, as every retailer would know, for a period of time. That coupled with the drought that we've had, the worst drought we've seen in history, and now to have the COVID-19 on top of that, it's just really put the nail in the coffin.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because that loyalty starting to erode, perhaps not so much from the people who showed it in the first place, but you're right, generations, new people move to the town who aren't as familiar with the co-op story, so they don't have that loyalty. But all that was just magnified completely by the coronavirus, where it sort of becomes, even in the most loyal or level-headed people, an every man for himself mentality. It's very hard to combat that, isn't it?
Well, look, it is. And I think you can only be loyal to something if you have an understanding of why it existed in the first place and how it came about. And I think that the new generation will coming through will actually form a loyalty to something else somewhere down the track. I don't believe that this is the new generation or anyone not being considered to their local businesses at all. I just think that it's a sign of the times and it's a changing environment. And I know the rural towns, they struggle continuously just to survive, and that they will find another community hub. It won't be the co-op, but it will be somewhere else that they will develop a community hub and become loyal to that. And, it's evolution, really.
Sharon, you touched on it before about how the business came to be, but did it? I didn't quite get there. Did the co-op or did the idea of a co-op, was that sort of put on an existing business, or was it established as a co-op from scratch 70 years ago?
It was actually established, from what I've been told, it was established from scratch years ago, where a group of local businessmen and townspeople got together and decided to form a cooperative. And in those days, they bought in, you could buy grain, you could buy haberdashery, and even fuel. And so when they started it, all of the townspeople at the time all bought a share. I mean, I don't know, I probably should highlight the co-op mentality to me is a wonderful one, whereby all the money gets spent in the town and then any profits always stay in the town. And I should highlight that's always been the case for the over 70 years that it's functioned. And I think looking back now from that period of time, we did a little bit of a research and worked out that in its lifetime, the co-op has given $5 million back over to the community in that lifetime. Yeah. that's a lot of money to those little polo clubs, those little tennis clubs, the little pony clubs that might otherwise not be around today anyway.
And I guess, people understand what the term means, co-op, and you've given that a great explanation, but I'm curious, and you would know, having been chair for a considerable time, does that co-op model become a bit of an Achilles heel when things get tough, though? I mean, are there disadvantages to operating as a co-op?
Yes, there are, and especially in this day and age, it is a very difficult model to manage. Now, if we think about this in terms of an independent store, just another one around the corner, the owner of that store is working in the store. So he looks out the window on Friday morning and goes, "Oh my goodness, it's raining today. Let's bring out all the umbrellas." Or, "Oh my goodness, it's cold today. Let's put on the suit." You have that owner making snap judgments on the spot as to how you're going to deal with a day's trade. In a cooperative, you don't have an owner in the store. And I'm not in any form taking this away from management. I mean, management do a great job, but let's face it, they're doing a lot of things as well. The other factor that you have is that in an independent store that's smaller, you have mum and dad working in the business, you have the kids working in the business, and usually a lot of hours get put in without pay.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with that. Another example is the likes of Coles and all of those. They don't have to have administration staff working in their store. The Co-op actually had to have 3 to deal with the supply coming in, all of the invoices, payroll, all of that. And so it's a very difficult model to manage. And in this day and age, I don't believe that, it was a sustainable model. And perhaps that's why co-ops have been folding all across Australia as it is anyway.